Hey everyone, today we're looking at the story of good old Doubting Thomas. Thomas, who was called the twin, one of the 12, was not with the other disciples when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But he said to them, "Unless I see the mark of the nails in his hands, and put my finger in the mark of the nails and my hand in his side, I will not believe." We always give Thomas a lot of grief, right? The Doubting Thomas name that he continues to have thousands of years later, because he doesn't believe the other disciples. But we can feel for him, right? I mean, for one thing, they got to experience this presence of the risen Christ, and he didn't. And so there's probably a little part of him that just feels like he's missed out and wants to have what they've had. And you know, we do pick on him for being so insistent that I will not believe unless I can touch him with my own hands. And yet, you know, another way we could look at Thomas here is to think about the courage that it takes for him to be honest about what he wants. You know, all of us, I assume, experience some times of questioning, times when we have some doubts about what we've heard. And I think the normal reaction is to just keep that to ourselves, right? There's so much social pressure to not bring up when something doesn't seem to make sense, or it seems like it might be a little more complicated or complex than what we hear in Sunday school. And so, right, there may be some questions that aren't worth asking, but sometimes there are. And it does take courage to be honest. And maybe we don't need to do that in front of the class and try and embarrass people, but if we have honest questions, we should be able to ask them honestly and then expect an honest answer. And so that's a way we can look at Thomas here as someone who has that kind of boldness. You know, I do these videos and 3 minutes is not enough time to dig in depth into any of these things. And so I don't ever want to make it seem like all these matters of faith and belief and things like the resurrection are simple. Of course they're complicated. And we need to be willing to dig deeper when it seems like these Sunday school answers are insufficient, because sometimes they may be. It doesn't mean that we're faithless. It doesn't mean that we're terrible people. And sometimes it may be hard. Sometimes there may be a social cost to asking these questions. But what we see from Thomas is if we do have the courage to ask, then we may receive. We may receive even more than we expected, and may get an experience of the risen Christ that goes beyond anything that we could have imagined. So let's have the courage to ask those questions.